Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. This is a bit different than my normal setup and content, but I hope this is informative for a lot of you guys out there. My more viewed videos are related to a school named Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. So there's two main campus of Embry-Riddle, and there's one in Prescott, Arizona, and then one here in Daytona Beach, Florida. In the name, it says an aeronautical university. So one of the two most popular majors are aeronautical science, which is basically just a degree for pilots. And the second most popular major at the school is aerospace engineering, and that can go into engineering for planes, rockets, spacecraft, all different things. So just basically pilots or engineers. However, they're mostly all related to some type of aviation or space. There's a lot of things to talk about and things to say, so I kind of organized my thoughts on my computer, so if I ever reference that, that's what I'm looking at. Also, if I miss out on saying something that you're actually curious in, if you have additional questions, more topics that you want me to get into, maybe you want a more biased viewpoint from my standpoint, whatever it is, let me know down in the comments and I'll make part 2 or part 3. I just know that this video we're going to be covering just basically the overview of Embry-Riddle as a school. Next video, we're going to be talking about specifically flight because that's what I majored in and I have the most knowledge on that. I don't really have any other knowledge on any other majors. My boyfriend is an AE and he's doing his master's right now, so I could ask him a couple of questions if you do have some interest in going into AE. I do want to preface that this is a video based on my viewpoint, my experiences. Everyone's going to have different things to say. Although I'm going to try to be as unbiased as possible here, there can't really be complete unbiased information. I just wanted to preface that maybe different people will say different things, and that's just the way that it's going to be. So I got my start in Embry-Riddle in fall of 2020, so that's when COVID was basically in full swing. I didn't have my latter part of that senior year and then got into college. We didn't have a lot of like completely online classes, so I still moved into a dorm. There was still COVID protocols, but mostly it was a lot of in classes. We just needed to wear masks. And then I graduated classes in December 2023. However, although I finished my classes and I walked graduation in December 2023, I didn't finish my flight courses, and that's something I'll get into the next video if someone wants me to. But I was able to graduate from that class. However, my flight course wasn't finished and I needed to get my flight training done to actually get my diploma. So although I technically graduated, my actual graduation date and being fully done with Embry-Riddle was August of 2024. If it makes a difference and you want to know the background knowledge, I am from Virginia. I am not an international student, I'm just out of state. However, this is a private school, so I think there's barely any difference in in-state and out-of-state college tuition. There might be some gaps, but I don't think that it's as big as if you were to go to a public university. And then again, my major was AS, stands for Aeronautical Science, and I got a minor in psych. I actually got my minor on accident, kind of. So basically, in college, you're gonna have a bunch of gen ed courses to do as well as elective requirements. So for the elective requirements, you're able to take any class that you want. Ever since high school, I had more interest in the psychology aspect of human life and human factors and things like that. And that's what made me want to take more psych classes for my electives. I took so many psych classes and my counselor ended up telling me that I was able to get a minor in psych if I took one more class. With the knowledge that I have now, I think I would have taken other classes, maybe something more related to my field and major, but that's what I did and I have a minor. So first we'll get to the campus. I do go to the one in Daytona Beach, so I can't really comment on the one at Prescott, except the comments that I've gotten from friends or people that I know about that campus. So here at the campus in Daytona Beach, it is a 10-minute drive from the beach, Orlando is about an hour away. I will say, once you get out of campus, it can kind of feel scary and unsettling, especially at night. At night, I'm actually like terrified to go outside. But definitely, if you stay on campus, there's really nothing to be scared about, at least from my point of view. Nothing ever happened to me on or off campus. I just have this very unsettling vibes from outside of campus. It's not the most developed, in my opinion. The campus is small. It's very small that you could technically walk from one side of the campus to the other. There's a side where all the dorms are, and then there's sides where classes are. And for the most part, you can walk. A lot of people bring bikes and skateboards because the walk can be long if you really think about it. From where most dorms are, it's usually a 5-minute walk to where most of the classes will be. Some of your classes can be somewhere really random, and maybe then you'll might want something, but regardless, it's still walkable. I've heard that the Prescott campus was a little smaller.
I'm actually going to fact check myself here. Prescott campus is actually bigger than the Daytona campus.
The one here in Daytona is more modern. They're rebuilding a lot of the buildings and they look very nice. Like, very modern. Obviously, when you're comparing Prescott to Daytona Beach, you're going to have different climates. So in Prescott, it's a desert, so you're going to have to expect very hot but also very cold temperatures. Here in Daytona, you probably get 1 month of very cold weather, and then the rest, you're just humid and hot. Pick your battle. If you're looking to be an AS major, you do want to consider that Prescott has mountains and some kind of elevation that you do have to kind of take into consideration, whereas Daytona is pretty much flat and at sea level, so there's not much to work with there. I feel like if you're starting out, it might be better to work with altitude so that you don't get complacent at like 0 altitude means ground level, if that makes sense to anyone. There's pros and cons about having mountains and altitude versus not. And Daytona Beach, you cannot forget about hurricane season. Especially for flight students, there's gonna be a lot of days where you weather your flight because of too strong winds, rain, very low fog. It's up to you if you want to deal with it or not. I was fine. I don't think that it deterred me too much. So, to my knowledge, I believe parking passes are 225 or 250, around that range. Very expensive, I know. From what I've seen, I think it goes up every year a little bit. Parking at Embry-Riddle is just like any other college. There's not enough parking spaces and the parking passes are way too expensive. I'm going to be talking about Daytona from now on because I really don't know the Prescott campus. They recently built a parking garage and it's pretty nice, but it's about $1,000, which is actually absurd. Apparently, people have $1,000 to spend on parking garage passes. If you're really on a budget, there is a cheaper lot called Satellite Lot. I think that goes for around $150. It is further from the dorms and classes and like the main campus, but I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do. So the parking here is based on kind of your status as a student or person, I guess. So faculty have their own, residents, like students that live on campus, have their own parking, and then commuter students have their own parking. There's like a couple other random ones, but I'm not really sure what they are. Regardless, you're going to be looking for parking most of the time. If you bring a car, you're going to be struggling. I did not bring my car the first 2 years while I was on campus. Okay, I'm going to be very real. If you bring your car the first year of college, it might seem like people are going to use you for transportation. Like, oh, like, can you take me somewhere? Every single weekend, okay? I mean, there are people that are willing to do that for them, and that's fine, but I personally would not like to be used and people being friends with me just for my car, you know? Also, it's such a struggle finding parking that I don't think it's worth it. And then for the second semester and the second year fully, my boyfriend had his car on campus, so that's when I kind of like went around with it. I mean, the decision to bring your car on campus or not is totally up to you, but it's just, are you willing to pay $225 or $250 and still struggle to find parking, maybe look for 30 plus minutes every time that you're looking for parking? I believe that there is a backup parking. I don't know if it gets actually filled or not, but there is another parking lot across the street that's open to any sticker color. Whether you're a resident student, commuter student, or faculty, you can just park there. Um, yeah, I don't really know how full it gets during school time. There is a huge stereotype for people that attend Embry Riddle. Okay? The stereotype is that you're nerdy. And I don't know. I don't want to be mean, but there's just like that very like, oh, like you're very nerdy, and not in like a, oh, you're smart, but you're just very nerdy. That's the stereotype. I mean, I'm going to be honest. There are people like that. If you look around, if you're on campus, you look around, you're going to see people like that because we're literally an aeronautical university. We're not just like a community college or just a public university. The stereotypes can be held true to some degree. Not everyone. Not everyone. I mean, there's still student athletes and like cool people, I guess. Overall, we're just nerdy. Regarding clubs, there is so many clubs. Like actually so many. They do something every semester. I think it's called an activity fair, but basically the school is like filled with tents of different clubs, and you can kind of go into it and ask questions if you're interested, how to sign up, and things like that, what they go into. There's a club for almost anything that you can think of. I think the fastest way to make friends is through your classes that you take, because since you're so centered in like one area, like pilots will all have the same classes, or similar classes. Other than your electives and gen eds, you're gonna have related classes. So might as well like make friends, and then you're gonna like see them constantly throughout, even though you don't plan out your schedules together. It'll just like work like that. I would say that the school holds a lot of events and activities throughout the year and throughout the semester. We have, or they do a lot of things, especially during the weekends, like socials. Every semester, there's some type of concert as well. For fall semesters, it's more of a homecoming concert. We had at one point Max open up for Love. And then during the spring semesters, it's more of like a festival type vibe where there's a lineup of singers. The spring lineup that I remember most is Echo Smith, Social House, some country singer that I don't know, and then Designer. I think for me, I made friends that I talked to, but not like my best friends. But I've definitely seen people that make their like, I mean, you wouldn't know now, but your almost lifelong best friends and like the person that you tell everything to. I mean, I met my boyfriend here. Other than that, like none of the friends that I made here are lifelong to me. Um, we still catch up, but it's not super close. Personal experience, I can't really speak for everyone. Now we get into the logistics and financial portion of the school. As part of inflation and different things, the cost had to go up. But when I was enrolled in 2020, my tuition, so the cost for a full year, so 2 semesters, was around $50,000. Maybe it was like slightly above. However, I did get scholarships and grants throughout, so that brought my yearly tuition to, I think, average around $30,000. There is a lot of scholarship opportunities on campus if you really look for them. So I would try to do that. And I think a lot of people bring their tuition down to around $30,000. And then obviously, if you're a student athlete, you get scholarships through your sport. And then a side note for flight students, the flight cost is kind of, it's not actually out of pocket, but the tuition is completely separate from your flight cost. So Flight costs you'll be paying separately, whether you use a loan or out of pocket. The tuition is just for your classes and the degree itself. I'm going to get into the flight courses just a little bit so that it's more clear on the payment, but I'll get more into the depths of it in the next video. So for flight, I was able to pay out of pocket because my parents helped me. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be here right now. I'm super, super grateful for their efforts in supporting me there. I had a friend that was looking into getting a loan for flight training too at the school. So I think loans are also an option if you need that. I'm not too familiar with it, but I just know that you have to have an X amount in this separate flight account and you pay for your activity after each activity. And like I said, I'll get more into the details of that in my next video, but that's just kind of how flight students should expect their payments to be. I mean, the tuition was not out of pocket, it was completely loans, so I still need to pay that back. I feel like I'm missing something, but I really don't know what else to talk about. I mean, most of my classes, I didn't need textbooks or other materials that cost me a bunch. There are classes that require you to have like supplements that you have to buy, but I would look into Rate My Professor definitely before signing up for a specific class and that specific professor to see if you're required material or not. I have not bought a single textbook. I believe it's still required for you to live in dorms for the first 2 years that you are a student here at Embry-Riddle. There are exceptions, I believe. However, mostly you're gonna be living on campus for 2 years. After the first 2 years, most people just live off campus because there's a lot of student and school sponsored apartments, as well as other apartments that a lot of students go to because it could be cheaper depending on how you look at it, as well as it's very hard to get a dorm after your requirement. Because I think every year Embry Riddle accepts more and more people. So it's just very hard to be able to give dorms to students that don't need to be on campus. Obviously, they're going to prioritize freshmen and sophomores. Most dorms are split into whether they're freshman dorms or upperclassmen dorms. Typically, it's just freshmen and sophomores that live on campus. If you really need it, I believe you can still apply for it. It's just like harder to get. Okay, so here's a list of different dorms. So for freshman dorms, we have New Residence Hall 1 and New Residence Hall 2, Adams and Wood, Doolittle. And then for upperclassmen, we have Apollo, New Residence Hall 3, O'Connor Hall, and Stimson Hall. I'm going to be honest, I've only been inside 4 halls, so I can't really speak on all of them. But for freshmen, I do definitely recommend New Residence 1 and 2. It's more modern and it's closer on that main campus. Whereas if you choose Adams and Wood, I think it's cheaper. However, there's a slight bit more walk, and I think it's an older building. So for Residence Hall 1 and 2, you share one suite with 4 people total, so 3 other people other than you. And then in that suite, there's 2 rooms. And per room, you're gonna have 2 people. And then you share this sink area and a bathroom and shower. You have a shared mini fridge and a microwave, but that's pretty much it. And then in your room, you have your stuff, your bed, your desk, your closet. And then you share that with your roommate that has their own bed, desk, closet. There's no kitchen in any of the freshman dorms, I believe, which I kind of found disheartening because I cannot be eating Chick-fil-A every single day. And then Doolittle is for any student, whether you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, whatever. I think it's one of the oldest buildings. It's very rundown. I've heard people say that they loved it. I've heard people say that they hated it and it's like the worst building ever. And for Doolittle, you have a room and you share that room with your roommate. And then there is a kind of like a community bathroom and you share that bathroom with 8 people total. That's not what I prefer at all, but that's totally up to you. I've been in it. I would not recommend. You do share one room with another person, but you share a bathroom with like 8 people. Personally, I don't think I could do that, but that's up to you. I've heard people say they hated it. I've heard people say that they were pretty okay with it and it was livable. Personally, I don't think I can do that, so I would not recommend. I would recommend New Res Hall 1 and 2 if you're able to do that. And then the next option would be Adams and Wood. I'm guessing that the people watching right now are not in their second year, but just in case. The other dorms are Apollo, New Res Hall 3, and then O'Connor and Stimson. I've only been in 2 of these. So I lived in Apollo. Apollo is on part of that main campus right next to New Residence 1 and 2. For Apollo, you share a suite and it has one bathroom and a shower for 2 rooms, and in each room you have 2 people. And then I think it has like the kitchen area, but it's only like a full fridge and then a sink. There's no stove or anything like that. And then New Residence Hall 3, I believe, is the most expensive hall, but is also expensive for a reason because it's the best. It was built pretty recently. I was still going to school when they were building it, so it's definitely not old at all, and it's amazing inside. You walk into a room, and then you kind of walk into that kitchen area. It has a stove, oven, fridge, anything that a full kitchen would have. And then you have your little living space area where you can put a TV if you want. And then you have 4 rooms. And basically, you get a mini room to yourself. And you get your own bathroom and shower, which I thought was amazing. So you get a whole room that has your bed, your desk, your closet, and your own bathroom with your own toilet and your own shower. New Res is definitely worth it if you need your personal space. You can't have a roommate. And if you want a full kitchen. Furniture that comes with the dorms, I believe they're all the same. I can't talk on the ones that I've never been in, so for most of them, it comes with a bed, a mattress, a chair, a desk, and some kind of closet, and then drawers. For the mattress, I 100% recommend a mattress topper. I don't know anyone that doesn't have a mattress topper or ended up buying one after they moved in, because that is not a mattress. It's really not a mattress. It's just a box. It's not a mattress at all. They have some type of space for your hangers to like hang clothes, and then they also give you a set of drawers to, put in your underwear and things like that. I didn't bring a lot of clothes, so I didn't need extra space, but I definitely know some people that brought more drawers from like Target, like the plastic drawers, to put in more of their clothes. I also believe that most dorms have some type of study rooms, whether they're good or bad or adequate enough. I don't know. So if you want to meet up with someone to finish a project, or you just need a space to study without any distractions, or your roommate's being loud or they're sleeping, you can go to a study room and do your things there. I just know that the new residence halls are more expensive than the ones that aren't, because those are the most recently built. And I think more of that information is on their website anyways, so if you wanted to search it up, you could. If I had to recommend and you had the funds available and you were able to kind of spend on your dorm, I would definitely recommend New Res Hall 1 or 2. Sophomores, I will definitely recommend New Res Hall 3, but if that's too expensive, I understand. And honestly, Apollo wasn't that bad. I'll go over the list of places that you could eat on campus. So, we have something called the Student Union. It's basically the main area for different events, a lot of where the food is, where the library is, a lot of the study rooms are. In the Student Union, we have Chick fil A, Qdoba, and then something called a refueling station on that first floor. So, Chick-fil-A and Qdoba, pretty self-explanatory. At the refueling station, they have a lot of different things like candy bars, fruits, milk, cereal, things like that, as well as like a small like sub shop area. I think it's sponsored by Boar's Head. I'm not really sure. And then they have like lunch menus where you can kind of pick and choose what you want on that specific day. I've never really liked eating there. I just opt Qdoba or Chick-fil-A if I had to choose one. And then on the second floor, if you go up one level, you have Starbucks. Right outside the student union, towards the College of Aviation building, a place to eat called Propellers. At Propellers, they're most famous for chicken and rice, but they have a lot of different things. I think for breakfast, they have different things compared to lunch, but this place closes a lot earlier than other places. We also have something called Boundless. Boundless is located somewhat in New 2. So New 2, that first level, you'll see like an entrance to the actual dorms and then an entrance to like a restaurant. And basically, when you go there, you spend one meal plan, but it's basically a buffet style and you can eat however much you want to eat. You can eat what you want. There's different stations. There's like a salad station, a pizza station. There's different stations that change their menu every single day. So you can kind of go there every day and not get sick of it. The school also has something called late night, and that's, I believe it starts at like 10 p.m. I'm not sure. It's been in Propellers for a long time now. At one point, it was in Boundless, but you can get like a Philly cheesesteak, pizza, hot dogs, subs. I don't really remember, but there's just like a bunch of like late night food. We also have something called the Legacy Food Truck. You can see a food truck towards that College of Aviation building and like the flight line. You'll see a blue food truck, and they typically sell different things every year. When I was there, they just sold wings, but I believe they've like changed it to different cuisines, and it's not as popular now. And then there's a secret place. It's in the flight building, and if you go towards this hallway in the first floor, you'll find a restaurant and they sell subs. And it's just basically a sub shop. It's pretty good. I've had it a couple times. Not a lot of people talk about it. And then we have something called the Eagle Mart convenience store that's located right under the Adams and Wood Hall. So if you live there, it's right on that first floor of the dorms. If you don't live there, you gotta cross the street to get there. Just because you're a student and you have a student card doesn't mean that you can access any dorms. You can only access the dorms that you are living in. So if you don't live there, it's kind of hard to get into because you just have to wait for someone to open the door for you, or I don't know. Those are the list of places that you're able to eat on campus. Talking about meal plans can get kind of all over the place. Prices, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many meal plans there are even available. I just know that there's a lot of different plans, and that freshmen are required to get at least 14 meals a week. And then if you do live on campus your second year, which most people will, I believe it was 5 meals a week. That was like the minimum meal plans that you have to have in those first 2 years. If you want more, you can upgrade, but you can't have anything less than that. Especially for freshmen with that 14 meals a week, that's a lot. You're honestly not going to eat 2 meals every day on campus. So, what a lot of people do at the end of the week is go to Starbucks and then order a bunch of drinks. I think it was the refueling station, and then you can buy things with your meal plans. So, they'll say like one meal plan gives you 5 water bottles, and then one meal plan gives you, I don't know, like 3 cereal cups. Some plans do come with something called Sodexo bucks or dining dollars, and what those are just like cash. It's like a debit account. If you have those in your account, you just use your student card to kind of just check out and use it as cash, and you just reload online. Like the convenience store, they don't accept any meal plans, so you do have to pay with dining dollars. Our school implemented a delivery service called Starship. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys already know what this is, but different colleges also have had Starship for a while. You basically just order on an app, and these little baby robots just deliver them to you. You have to use your dining dollars because of that delivery fee. For me, it wasn't ever worth it to get delivery, so I just went and got it myself. It was just like not worth it to me, but I guess if you're like studying for finals and you don't have like 20 minutes to get out, order food, and come back, then it's worth it. For sophomore year, my boyfriend moved his dorm from Doolittle to New Res 3. So while he was living in New Res 3, he didn't have any roommates. So I kind of stayed with him a lot of the time. And also because he had a full kitchen there. So my boyfriend and I ordered a lot of like meal kit services like HelloFresh and kind of cooked with our kitchen. That's why a full kitchen was very important to me, and not having any type of stove was very difficult to live with. I've never been to another college, so I'm not gonna act like I know what to compare it to, what the norm is. Most classes are going to be 3 credits. A lot of the labs are 1 credit, and for flight courses, it's 1 credit as well. A normal semester, you're going to be at around like 15 credits. So you take about 5 classes a semester. Riddle accepts a lot of outside credit. So I took a lot of AP and DE classes during high school, and they were able to accept that, whether it was for the credit that I needed for like history, or they were able to apply it to an elective that I needed. I think for my psych minor, if I had the knowledge that I do now, I think I would go back and kind of choose classes for my electives that are more related to my field and something that'll actually help me in case something doesn't work out and I can no longer be a pilot. I have that backup minor to somehow guide me, but I mean, there's no use in regretting it now. I will say overall from what I've seen, AS students have flight courses and that's their main focus. A lot of the AS classes are going to be lighter on workload. It's typically just a lecture during class. You sometimes have homework assignments and then you have tests and then sometimes you'll have a final and then you're done. And then you're just focusing on flight for most of the part. And all these classes that you take for AS is going to help support anything that you have to know for flight. I would say that the academic workload for AS students is pretty light because you have flight to focus on, whereas an AE student is going to be very, very heavy. My boyfriend had so much homework. Like, all he does is homework, even now. So I would just keep that in mind. Class sizes, I'm pretty sure is like standard, like 20 to 30 people. If you're struggling in any class, there is a tutor center. I believe it's in URES 3. I'm not sure. They could have moved it too. But they have general tutoring there. And for flight students, if you need help with anything flight related, they can't help you. So we have our own tutor center. It's called the ALC Lab. It's in College of Aviation, and basically, ground instructors help you with whatever you need, any questions you have, anything for classes related, anything for flight related. It's a very good resource. And in there, they also have simulators for flight, and you can kind of use that to practice your maneuvers or procedures. So it's very useful. Definitely take advantage of that. I would say that the library and the student union overall is a very good area to study at if you can't in your apartment, in your dorms. There's a lot of study spaces, especially in the library. With the extra credits that I brought to Embry Riddle, I was able to finish my classes in 3.5 years, so take that with a grain of salt. I thought it was worth mentioning any employment opportunities for students. A lot of my friends did work on campus, but I have not, so I can't really touch too much on that topic. I'm just gonna go based on what I've heard from other people talk about. Flight students typically work in the flight building where you kind of give out keys and you're just kind of acting as a dispatch. You can also get your ground instructor license and be a tutor in that ALC lab. There's a lot of different opportunities. A lot of students will work in the student union. They have very flexible hours as well. There's jobs where you can give out tours. I mean, it's kind of endless if you really look for it. I've heard good things, so I would definitely recommend looking into it if you want a job. Since it's on campus, you don't have to like drive anywhere far too, and they actually can adjust to what your classes schedules look like. I personally would not recommend working your first semester, especially if you're a freshman coming in. I would take that opportunity and extra time to kind of build friendships and build your social circle, and then start working your second semester or your second year. I thought it was worth mentioning the gym facility because I spent a lot of my time there even now after I've graduated. I mean, that brings me to my first point. A lot of students, but also alumni and staff use the gym. They recently rebuilt it, so it's like very modern and new, and it looks really nice inside and out. It used to be a very small, rundown building that's now a Boeing Center on campus, but the new gym is absolutely amazing. There's a lot of different machines, a lot of different workout equipment that you can use. Sometimes they run different workout classes. There's a cycling room. I would say go early if possible, or else go really late in the day. From like early lunch to dinner time, it's probably most likely very busy. Right now, if I have the chance to, I go to the gym at around 7 to 8 a.m. There's one thing that I found very odd when it was first built, but I don't really think about it much now. There's one changing area. So you walk into the locker rooms and you have just rows of lockers. You don't need your own lock, by the way. It's like attached to the door, which I love. And you have those rows. It's co-ed. So the middle area is just rows of lockers. And then on the sides, they put in changing rooms and then bathrooms with showers in them. So you can take showers if you want. And then we also have an outdoor pool. We have the lap pool areas as well as just like a leisure area. A lot of people sunbathe during warmer seasons. It's February and people are already sunbathing, which is actually crazy. There's a lot of pool chairs just sitting outside, but as long as the pool is open, you're able to go sit down, go in the pool, whatever. That pretty much sums up my video. I feel like I've been talking for forever. I would say overall, I do recommend going to Embry-Riddle. As long as your major is somewhat related to aviation, I feel like it's worth it. There's a big reputation for Embry-Riddle. If you go and talk to anyone that's in the aviation industry, they know what Embry-Riddle is. If you go up to someone random, they're not going to know. Every time someone asks me where do I go for college, I have to say there's a small private school in Florida called Embry-Riddle. Most of the time, they're not going to know what that is. But whenever I talk to other pilots, they know exactly what I'm talking about. So there is that reputation and somewhat level of prestige, but there's also reputations of, I don't know, some kind of like snobbiness, I guess. Like, oh, we go to a private school, so we're just better than everyone else. That kind of vibe. But most companies will give you the chance and kind of hear you out because of that prestige reputation. There's just some things in life where you just feel at home and you just feel like you belong there in a sense, like, oh, I'm supposed to be here. I just feel like I liked it and I had an overall positive experience here, so that's why I recommend it. And even though it's really expensive, if you are graduating here with a reputable major, then I feel like you're gonna get a job where you're able to repay that. All right, so that wraps up the video of basically just the overview of Embry Riddle. Like I said, I'll get into the flight portion of Riddle in the next video that's coming up. I have yet to make that yet, so if you have any specific questions about flight or even about the overview of the school in general, then let me know in the comments. I'll make a separate video. For flight students, you don't really need a degree to become a pilot, but it does help you. And I personally like that I got a degree in AS and then became a pilot as opposed to just getting my certificates. But everyone has their own preferences. I like the diversity. I like most of the teachers that teach at the school. Yeah, it's just like a very overall positive experience for me, and that's what I like about it. I hope this video was informative enough. Please let me know if you have any more questions or other topics that you want me to get into, like I've said before, in the comment section down below, and I will try to answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys very, very soon with part 2.